Well, hello, I'm Misheard with Misheard Song Lyrics Podcast. We're in Season 5, Episode 256 with Erasure's Chains of Love. The misheard lyric is, together we'll break this chains of love. And then the correct lyrics is, together we'll break these chains of love. I love this song. I actually was able to see Erasure perform it way back October 2011. Wow, that's 13 years ago. And they sung it just like they did on my record when I was a teenager. It was still on point. And the great thing about it, fun fact, my besties Maynard and Emily also killed this song as a duet, so I'm going to give them a shout out. Let's talk about Chainsaws first, and we'll go right into the song, who Erasure is, and the two members of it, and their connections to other amazing artists as well. So a chainsaw, if you don't know already, is a portable handheld power saw that cuts with a set of teeth attached to a rotating chain driven along a guide bar. I know modern chainsaws, they are either gasoline or electric, used with getting trees to fall, any pruning, cutting fire breaks, and wildland fire suppression. But the main thing I know about it is you got to be very careful because you can easily cut your own limbs if that's not what you want to do with a chainsaw. So those of you that are using a chainsaw for the first time, be careful. And even those that are using it multiple times, just don't be lackadaisy. That's the word, lackadaisical, whatever. Just don't be too nonchalant because it is a force to be reckoned with and you do not want to hurt yourself. That is the PSA of today. Let's go right into the song. Chains of Love. It was sung by English synth pop duo Erasure back in May of 1988 as their ninth single overall. Who is Erasure if you don't even know? Come on. They're an English synth pop duo formed in London in 1984, and it has the lead vocalist and songwriter Andy Bell with songwriter, producer, and keyboardist Vince Clarke. He was also a co-founder of other big bands. We'll go into that in a minute too. It came from their fourth single, Sometimes. Erasure established themselves, or from their fourth single, Sometimes, back in 1986, Erasure established themselves as the UK singles chart, becoming one of the most successful acts of the mid-1980s to the mid-1990s. And then from 1986 to 2007, they achieved 24 consecutive top 40 entries in the UK singles chart. And by 2009, 34 of their 37 chart-eligible singles and EPs had made the UK top 40, including 17 climbing to the top 10. At the 1989 Brit Awards, they won Brit Award for Best British Group, and they definitely deserve it. They made their debut with the studio album Wonderland in 1986. However, it really did not perform well if you look at it via chart-wise. With their second release, The Circus, in 1987, that's when they had major success. The album reached UK number 6 and spawning 4 top 20 singles. Their third studio album, The Innocents, released in 1988, was a number 1 and was followed the same year by the Christmas EP Crackers International, peaking at number 2. Very good. And with The Innocents, it was the first in a string of albums to place in the top spot, with their next 5 long-form releases also reaching the pole position of the UK albums chart. The albums Wild in 1989 and the Mercury Prize-nominated Chorus in 91. They did an ABBA tribute EP. I need to check that out. It's called ABBA-esque in 1992. And then they did a compilation Pop with an exclamation mark, the first 20 hits in 1992. Then the studio album I Say, I Say, I Say in 1994. So who are Erasure and the duo? So beginnings, one being Vince Clarke. As a teenager, it was said here he was inspired to make electronic music after hearing Wirral synth band Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, or OMD. Remember them? If you leave, don't leave. That's the song. He was a founding member of Depeche Mode and the sole writer of their first 3 singles, including their breakthrough top 10 single, Just Can't Get Enough, Just Can't Get Enough. And then didn't even have to stop there. After leaving the band in late 1981, he also started another great career as a duo, Yazoo. In the States, they're called Yaz, and I'll go into that in a bit. So I love Yaz too. I sing some of their songs in karaoke. So he is just a force to be reckoned with. Depeche Mode, Yaz, and now Erasure. So after 2 successful studio albums in as many years, in 1982 and 83, he then split with Yazoo partner Alison Moyet, so that was the other part of Yaz, and formed a short-lived project, The Assembly, with producer Eric Radcliffe. The project spawned a UK number 4 single called Never Never, featuring a Feargal Sharkey on lead vocals. And then Clarke then released another single with vocalist Paul Quinn. It's called One Day. If you know it, check it out. If not, it's on YouTube or other sources. It says here on the internet it flopped, leading Clarke to place an advertisement in Melody Maker looking for a vocalist for a new musical project. Thank God he did. And a Peterborough-born Andy Bell phoned, because back in the day, we didn't have any interweb or email. You literally had to pick up a phone and call someone, and got a call back a few days later. Bell practiced audition listening to Alison Moyet, Susie and the Banshees, and the Communards. It went well, and he was chosen, and Clarke had been his hero. Very good. So it was meant to be. It's also said here that Erasure's influences include OMD, Kraftwerk, Gloria Gaynor, and ABBA. It's so cool. So back to the song. It was written by Vince Clarke and Andy Bell, and was released by Mute Records as the second single from Erasure's third studio album, like I mentioned earlier, the 1988 The Innocents. In the US, Sire Records released it as their first single. The chorus is definitely memorable because Bell uses his falsetto, and the album version was produced by Stephen Hague and was slightly remixed for a single release. Most notably, I guess in the album, if you have it, listen to it on vinyl or cassette, whatever you have it, they say it starts cold. But in the radio version and the version that's on YouTube, there's a little short synthesizer pattern as an intro, and then he starts with, "How do I explain?" and goes into it. So what's it about? Chains of Love. It's an up-tempo, dance-oriented synth-pop track with Clarke's signature analog sound and Bell's lyrics about breaking through any restrictions or stereotypes of what love should be. The lyrics allude subtly to Bell's desire for wider acceptance of gay couples. Pretty bold back in the day. His pain evident from the opening lines, "How can I explain when there are few words I can choose? How can I explain when words get broken?" So that's the beginning of the song. Chains of Love became Erasure's 6th consecutive top 20 hit on the UK singles chart, just missing the top 10 by peaking at number 11. I thought it was in the top 10, huh? In the US, it became Erasure's mainstream breakthrough by climbing to number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 and becoming the group's first entry on the Billboard Modern Rock Tracks chart. It also hit number 4 on the Billboard's Hot Dance Music Club Play chart, and it is still Erasure's highest charting single in the United States. And like I said earlier, as a teenager, Vince Clarke was inspired to make electronic music after hearing OMD's music. So not only being the founding member of Depeche Mode, as well as Yaz, the rest was history when he connected with Andy Bell. And I love that they have their influences, just like any band, like members out there I shared earlier with OMD, Kraftwerk, Gloria Gaynor, and ABBA. All right, so who's Andrew Ivan Bell? He was born back in April of 1964, a Taurus. He's an English singer and songwriter and lead vocalist of Erasure. And I had mentioned earlier that they won a Brit Award for Best British Group and are popular with the LGBTQ community, for whom the Out and Proud Bell has become an icon. Erasure has penned about 200 songs and have sold over 25 million albums worldwide. They've achieved 5 consecutive number ones on the UK album chart, and of course hit singles include A Little Respect, Sometimes and Always. Bell is known for his soulful voice and flamboyant stage persona. I can attest to that. I got to see it in person. It was fabulous. With the contrast with his bandmate Vince Clarke, who's more low-key, deadpan demeanor. Let's talk about Vincent John Martin, also known as Vince Clarke. Like I said before, he started in Depeche Mode and then Yazoo, also with The Assembly. And he has recorded over 200 songs and have sold over 28 million albums. This is what Erasure has done. And Clarke was inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame back in 2020 as a member of Depeche Mode. Big did you know, though, Clarke was married to a Tracy Hurley Martin. She has a twin sister called Tanya Hurley, who was a booking agent and publicist to various entertainment artists. Among the artists, Tracy served as a publicist for Prince, that's pretty big, George Michael, and Clarke's former band, Depeche Mode. She also represented Goosebumps and the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen brand. That's a big did you know. And she also had several films she produced that were screened at Tribeca and Edinburgh Films Festivals. Sadly, she did die in January 2024, just this year, following a 2-year battle with stomach cancer. She is survived by her twin sister Tanya, Clarke, her husband, and their son Oscar. So man, here you go. And another thing that I found interesting is I was able to find on songfacts.com a little bit more about the song. So quote unquote, it says here, by the time The Innocents was released, Erasure had several hits in the UK, but this single and A Low Respect broke them in America, where it was rough sledding for synthesizer bands who were mostly confined to club play. Yeah, a lot of it was the butt rock at that time. Chains of Love was more accessible synth sound, and the heartfelt lyrics coming together and breaking down the barriers that divide us played well in the United States, where it took a while for audiences to get used to a guy singing over program beats. And it said here, Vince Clarke for Erasure, after spending time in Depeche Mode, he teamed up with Andy Bell, and he shared here with Song Facts why it worked for the both of them. Quote unquote, up to Andy, it was a mystery to me how people write songs together. Andy and I, we've been together a long, long time, and we feel very comfortable around each other. Andy is much better at offering his heart to the world and expressing how he feels. He's a king of that, I think. And also, Andy's not particularly interested in programming computers or synthesizers, and I'm not particularly interested in attempting to sing. So the relationship works out perfectly. It sure does. As for the music video, if you look it up on YouTube, it was originally uploaded back on September 24, 2014, so 10 years ago this September. It's at 7 million and counting. The video was directed by Peter Sleazy Christopherson of Throbbing Gristle, who also worked with the likes of Nine Inch Nails, Van Halen, and others. And the music video itself featured Clarke and Bell performing the song while being hoisted up and down through the air by thick metal chains. And if you see closely, there's some costume changes with Bell changing from a basic jeans and white t-shirt to like a mambo kind of Spanish, ruffled top there. And a couple times it looks like he's been hit by the chain, so he pushes it out of his way while he's singing. Show must go on, right? So if you have any great suggestions like this misheard song lyric about chainsaws, no, actually it's Chains of Love, just send it to our many sites like Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, or you can just send me an email at misheard, that's MISSHEARD @gmail.com. Again, that's MISSHEARD songs @gmail.com. Till then, keep singing those songs wrong. Bye.